If you look at the world's top companies 25 years ago and compare them to the companies today, you'll notice something very striking. The list has completely changed. However, the formula for building companies has still been the same. You pick a breakthrough technology, you identify a real-world gap, and then you build a business around it. That's how leaders like Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, etc. built some of the most legendary companies on the planet. Not very far from here, in fact, in cafes and garages 100 meters from here. Right here in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco. We at Scalar work very deeply with almost all of the frontier AI labs here in San Francisco. And in the interactions with their leaders and engineers, one thing is very clear. The future is going to be fundamentally different.
AI will impact everything.
AI is going to surpass people at most of those things.
With AI, things are different. When I was leading the team at Facebook Messenger, shipping features would take weeks. Today, the same thing can be done by a single engineer in minutes. You can prototype in days, get feedback almost instantly, and you can scale marketing globally at a relatively lower cost. What this means is that now innovation will happen at a breakneck speed. In my view, the next few years will see a lot more creation than all of the creation that has happened in the last 25 years combined. What this means is that every single industry out there will be disrupted again. And this disruption will come from the 19 to 25-year-old kids who understand AI, who understand business, and are obsessed about solving problems. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Our education system hasn't caught up yet. The way education works today is that you can choose to become an engineer, which means you will learn coding, you'll get better at AI, you'll get better at building tech systems, but you will not know how to build businesses. Or you could learn business, which means you'll get better at doing operations, finance, strategy, identifying real business problems. But you would not be able to build those systems yourself. And that is exactly the gap that this program was built to solve. Introducing the 4-year UGP in AI and business from the House of Scalar School of Technology. This is a full-time, fully residential program based out in India's Silicon Valley, which is Bangalore. Here, the students learn 3 things, which is required to succeed in this new era. 1, you get really good at tech, which is coding and AI. You get really good at identifying real-world problems. And finally, you get really good at building businesses around it. And not only that, as a part of this program, you're required to build at least one startup as a part of the curriculum. You also get funded while you're at it. Before I break things down a little further, do you want to see something cool? Let me take you to the Golden Gate Bridge. My team back in India really wanted me to do this. And when we go there, we'll go there in a car without a driver. We're sitting in a car that has no driver. Isn't it cool how far we have come? So, we are here at the Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge is more than 93 years old, and those must be some really solid foundations. Talking about foundations, let me talk about how we build those in our program of AI in business. The program is broken down into 4 parts, every part corresponding to every year. Year 1. Year 1 is all about foundations. This is where we focus on building very solid foundations within tech and business. Within tech, you learn coding, you learn how computers work, you learn how to build basic apps. On the business side, you learn basic foundations of economics, finance, operations, and many more. And then you bring both of them together to build working apps. For example, you might build, let's say, a simple marketplace app. Not only do you know how to build those simple marketplace apps, you should also learn how to pitch why this app exists and what value does it bring and why should somebody be using this marketplace app. In parallel, you might also build a D2C brand ground up. This is in a combination of in-class and out-class activities. In the process, you learn how branding works, you learn how a brand is created from ground up, how it is marketed and then taken to the consumer. All in all, by the end of year 1, you should be good at building basic apps and you should be able to clearly articulate their value and why somebody should use it. Then comes year 2. Year 2 is about going deeper in both tech as well as business. This is the year where you actually move on from simple applications to building production-grade applications. This is the year where you would learn about scalability, building apps that don't work for 100 people but could work for millions of people. This is the year where you'll learn about recommendation systems, where you'll learn about building data pipelines that drive businesses, where you learn about metrics to begin with. This is where you will learn how tech works in the real world with real users and real constraints. Year 3 is where you add that business lens to the technical depth that you built. Now that happens in 2 ways again. First is within Scalar, there's a Scalar Innovation Lab. This is where we invite founders from outside who are building in the deep tech space to build inside the campus. You get to work alongside those founders who come from Google, from Razorpay, from Swiggy and whatnot, and you learn by applying whatever you have learned in the process. Very similarly, you may also get to work with some of the problems that Scalar AI Labs has. Scalar AI Labs works with some of the most frontier AI companies in the world and gets to solve the problem that they are solving commercially. Finally comes the year 4. The final year, but the most exciting year. This is where all of you become a founder. Every single one of you has to form a team, work on an idea, and actually start a new company. To do this, you will get mentorship from Scalar, and you will also get seed funding from Scalar. For the first 6 months, you just put your head down, you fail, you iterate, you fail, you iterate, till you succeed to make a company work. By the end of the first half of the year 4, we've already done something which most students in the nation have never done, which is started your own company and actually worked through it. In the second half of year 4, you have 2 options. You can either continue to build your own company, which means you will now participate in demo days, you'll start to raise funds, you'll start to figure out how to get more traction, maybe even hire a team. Or you would say, hey look, building a company is not my cup of tea. In that case, I would go for jobs that sit at the intersection of tech and business. Now, these could be jobs like AI engineers, it could be product managers, it could be AI consultants. That being said, if you are someone who continued to build the company even in the second half, you will have access to 1 year of deferred placement support. This means even if your company fails, you are not at a disadvantage as compared to all the other students. By the way, this only works if you're learning from people who have done it before. What this means is that your instructors cannot be career academicians, but they have to be founders or product leaders or operators or great engineers themselves in their career. This also doesn't mean that they don't have to be good teachers. They obviously have to be great teachers. They obviously have to focus on your fundamentals, but they can teach you from their experience, having failed at some of the things that you will also fail at. Another thing that matters very deeply is your peer group. These are some of the smartest, most driven students in the country that you'll be building alongside, and they will push you far more than any other syllabus can. Admissions are holistic, which means you don't already have to be a founder. You don't already have to be a coder, but you need to be curious. You need to have potential. You need to have the right smarts and intelligence. And most importantly, you need to have ownership. Ownership to take responsibility when things don't work out and then try again. One of the reasons to make this video in San Francisco is to be able to show you what our country can become if we ride this AI wave well. India is the youth capital of the world, which means India has to be ready for changing the world when the world changes. And cities like Bangalore are going to be at the center of it, which is why the campus is in Bangalore, India's own Silicon Valley. And you're not going to be building in a silo. You're going to be surrounded by builders, founders, investors, and many, many more. It's also a place that never sleeps, which means students live through late nights, building, sharing their wins, and living through moments like Yugantha, which is our annual college fest. We also understand that access matters, which is why we have need-based and merit-based scholarship, especially to support high-potential students who might not have the right means to join the program right away. This is AI and Business at Scalar School of Technology. The intake is limited to 200 students only. So if this excites you, please go ahead and apply. And maybe you'll see me as one of your teachers.